Mistakes are the price for a full life that you have to pay if you learn from them. I believe that hell wants to maim you and mock you with your mistakes. But heaven wants to make you and transform you by your mistakes. Failure should not become a prison house where you're held hostage the rest of your life by your mistakes. Your mistakes are not final. Your failure is not final. Rejoice not over me, O my enemies, for when I fall, I will rise again. When I sit in darkness, the light will. You might have made a mistake, but you're not one. You might have failed, but you're not a failure. You might be down, but down is not your destiny.
And when you have focus in your life, it's amazing what it does to your fear. When you have focus, your fears begin to subside. When you begin to implement focus in your life, you discover that you no longer have fear. And since fear is the father of failure, the less there is fear, the less there is failure. You see, when you get up and you don't know what to do and you're caught up in the ambivalence of an undirected life, fear comes in and begins to just take control. But when you get up every day and you know that God has called you to something and you know what it is, and you begin to focus your attention on it, something begins to happen in your heart. That God promises in every situation, I will be with you. And when He calls you or me to anything, whether it's difficult or easy, whether it's a challenge close at home or far away, if God has called you, He is obligated to help you. And I'm here to tell you, after all these years, He has never, ever failed me. If you will do what God has called you to do, hear me now, He will always show up. He will always show up when you need Him. He'll be there with you. He will never leave you. He won't forsake you. You can count on it. There is no greater adventure you could ever get involved in than doing what God calls you to do and just waiting to see how He's going to show up and help you do it. And if you don't get anything else from what I say today, and you have a challenge in your life with fear, I hope you will get this part of it. In order for God to protect Joshua from the fear of failure in the assignment that was given to him, He gave him these words: "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, and you shall observe to do according to all that is written in it."
You will start to see that the things in your life right now that you perceive as negative might be a crucial function in building your strength and your stamina and your hope. There are some things about God that you can only learn going down. Ask Peter, beginning to sink when he felt the grip of the grace of God through the hand of Jesus of Nazareth. And he said, "Now I know that you're Lord."
Righteousness is not permission to sin, but righteousness is permission to come back home. You might have fallen and you might have failed and you might have made a mistake, but you are not a mistake. And God will never define you by the worst mistake and choice you made in life. Critics will, attackers will, haters will, people will, but God will never define you by your worst mistake. And I need you to thank Him that great is His mercy.
I heard the Lord say, keep sowing and stop sorting. S-O-R-T-I-N-G. Keep sowing and stop sorting. Stop judging the experience the moment it happens. Give it some time to see what it is. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you have experienced this, but some of my successes have been the fruit of my failures. So I used to not be able to do a pull-up. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was 22 years old and I had never done a pull-up in my life. So I start training to do pull-ups, and I could do some pull-ups. One day, this guy told me that I had to do not only pull-ups, which was a feat of accomplishment for me, that I worked my whole life toward to this point, a culmination of my entire life's effort in the realm of exercise. He's like, now I need you to do a negative. I said, what's a negative? He said, well, there's two parts to every rep. There's when you're going up and there's when you're coming down. But there's just as much benefit in coming down as there is in coming up. Some of the things that have produced the most in my life were the things that honestly at the time I was the most embarrassed about. This failure that you're processing right now, some of you started the business, you did the thing, you took the step, and you made a mess out of it. See if maybe that might be the seed of something that becomes something that people will celebrate in the future. And you will know, and God will know, that you almost gave up. And the enemy was there telling you, stop sowing, it's not working. But you kept sowing. And you sowed in the morning, and you sowed in the evening, and you loved anyway, and you forgave anyway, and you showed up anyway, and you did it anyway, and you memorized a scripture and quoted it anyway, even though it wasn't happening in your life. But you kept quoting it, and you kept sowing, and you didn't try to sort it out, and you didn't try to root it up, and you didn't get impatient and immature, but you waited for the will of God to come to pass in your life. Don't you ever stop sowing, because you don't know. Solomon said, you don't know the way that the breath enters the bones, and you don't know the way God works either. You don't know. Don't you ever stop sowing.